Well, good evening. Welcome to another webinar. It is Thursday, the 5th of September. And if you can hear me and see the screen, just give me a yes in the chat if you would. Hope everybody's doing well. I have once again had another very relaxing and stress-free day. Just give it a minute for you guys just to give me a yes that you can hear me and see the screen okay. While I'm waiting for those responses, I'm just going to sort out a couple of my screens here. We do have one or two things to discuss, pretty much the same trades that we went over yesterday. I do have an update on my Aussie dollar New Zealand trade that I've been in. Evening, Jack. I've got a yes from there. So if you can hear and see the screen, Jack, then that means everybody else will be able to as well. So while we're waiting for a few more people to roll in, we'll just run through the Forex Factory calendar. As we know, this is FOMC week, and tomorrow is the biggest news day of the month, and that's when we start seeing the non-farm employment news that comes out at 1:30 tomorrow. We do also have CAD news out as well, so and then from the look of it we also have a little bit more dollar news out at 5:30. So big news day tomorrow. Not really I don't think we're going to see a great deal of movement this evening or tomorrow on the run up to that news event, and we've pretty much seen a quiet week as a result of it as well, so no real trading opportunities for me for the remainder of the week. I'll just be waiting for next week. So we will remove the Forex Factory calendar, move that off to one side, and we will start looking at we'll start looking at the trade I was in, the Aussie dollar New Zealand. This trade was actually sent out as a trade signal, and unfortunately I was stopped out again by 2 pips, and this really has been the theme now for getting on for 2 months, and it's getting a little bit tiresome, if I'm honest with you. It's not affecting me emotionally, but I'm getting very tired of just being stopped out. Now we'll go ahead and do the high time frame analysis here. It was a triangle that I got involved with. We'll look at the rules that we use for getting involved with this trade, and it hasn't hit targets, but it's on the way, and we do have some higher time frame confirmation that we could still be going bullish. So here on the Aussie dollar New Zealand, right now, if we look at this, we came down for a retest down here into this level, and what we're doing currently is we are back up at these highs just here. So we're kind of sandwiched between these two structure levels. Now if we drop one time frame lower and we put a structure level on at the very highs just here, and I'm just going to leave this on for the time being. The way I work targets out is that I do not play for anything above the close of the structure level, and if we zoom in, you'll just be able to make out the triangle. It was valid on the 60 minute for me, not on the 240. What I'm just going to do is show you this right here. This great big indecision candle followed by a big higher high, higher close candle, indication here that we could see a bullish move. Now this long wicked doji candle here just stopped me out by 2 pips. So as we go down to the 60 and we take a look at this trade setup, well, it was only valid on the 60. So what we had here is we had a swing in the market, we had a fairly directional pole, and then what we did is we draw this out based on the closes of the candles. When I entered in this trade, it was looking like this. I actually think, yeah, it was here. Okay, so I got involved down here at this level, so you can see we had a doji and then we had a green bullish candle. So 1, 2, 3, 4 tests. We came back down here for another test. Just here, this was actually a double bottom, not one I could trade, but what it meant was that when we violated to the upside and pulled back, this was also a 2618. So this retest down here gave me a nice place to get my stops just below here. My stops was at 106.66, I believe, just there, playing for the usual 127 extension. There we go, 127 extension. Just let me zoom out a little bit, get a little bit of perspective here. So we're clearly bullish, move higher, pull back, move higher, pull back, move higher, pull back, move higher, pull back, move higher. So a triangle forming within this zone is perfectly acceptable. Look left for structure. This was the very highs of our structure level just here, and you can see that our target came right into that zone, so I was not shooting for an area past the structure highs, which is fine for these breakout patterns as per my rules. And just look at what we did, guys, right here. Stopped me out by 2 pips. So my rules are my rules. This is what I've tested. On the higher time frame for these triangles, my stop goes below the middle test, which is this one just here. The reason for that is because this usually offers a very nice area of support, and even though this may not be the highest area for our win rate, it was the most profitable. So let me confirm that. Below this structure level here is without a doubt the safest place to have your stop, and that's true, I think, for any stop placement above structure or below structure. The main structure or the main outside return is the safest place. However, on these breakout patterns, for me, on the higher time frame, only the middle area is the more profitable zone. Okay, over time I may not have as high a win rate, but over time, because of the reward to risk, it is more profitable. On the lower time frame, I do always have my stop below this level. So what happened is stopped me out by 2 pips. Let me just go back to the 240 and re-go over this doji candle and this higher high, higher close, giving us a 3-bar reversal here, which is a sign that we're going to see a bullish move. So this trade, which has now stopped me out, hasn't gone on to win yet, but if it does go on to win, this would be just another trade to add to the long list of losers that have just stopped me out, and there is nothing I can do about it. I'm going to continue following my rules, and in fact, just let me drop down to the 15 and show you this structure area. Okay, what we actually had here was a structure area that had held. It was a double bottom on the 5. We'd valid to the upside, we'd pull back for a 26.18, we double bottomed here, and it's still violated to the downside. So another losing trade for me, I'm afraid. I'm going to move that one off to the side, those guys. Does anybody have a question regarding that trade? Because that was a live trade that I was in, and that had stopped me out. I'm hoping I've gone over the reasons why I had my stop in the, as per my rules, the correct place. Just a few pips below this structure level. So at least it gave us something to talk about, because over the last, well, for this week really, there's been absolutely nothing to talk about. The market has either not been moving, or it has moved the last few days in a directional move. Like the pound yen double bottom, which has come off very nicely, but has been way too big to get involved with. So even though it was a loser, as I say, it was something at least to talk about. So Aussie dollar New Zealand off to the side, and I'll bring over the dollar Swiss. So this is a trading opportunity for anybody that trades advanced patterns. So I'm just going to get the good stuff out the way, guys, because there really isn't a great deal to go over. In fact, I think this is probably going to be a very short webinar of maybe just 30 minutes, because there's very little on the radar. But if you guys do have anything you'd like me to talk about or clarify or run over some structure trades, anything like that, please let me know. But basically on the dollar Swiss, quite simply a bat pattern. We have the X leg, the A leg, the B, the C, the D completion up here at the 886, And if you trade advanced patterns, well, you have a very nice back pattern here, which will be very shortly at market. I'll move that out of the way as well. Move it to one side. So what can we go over that we went over the other day, which will give us a little bit of light as to something that we can actually go over. Okay, let's go over the euro dollar. Euro dollar is a good one. That's actually now hit the projected targets, guys. So still have the workings out from last time, and we had this butterfly pattern. Down at the bottom just here we had this rotation pattern, and in the last webinar I said that you could look for long opportunities. We had a new structure high here, a pullback, another new structure high, and you could wait for a pullback. And that's exactly what we did. We pulled into this area. Now this would have meant that we pulled into the wicks, and this would have been a first chance entry. So first chance entry, guys, is quite simply we're allowed to drop one time frame lower and look for a rotation pattern. That's either a double bottom or a head and shoulders. So I don't know whether we got a double bottom, but we'll drop to the 15 and see. This happened at 10 in the morning, so we'll see if it did produce that double bottom. And right here it did not. It didn't produce a double bottom, so it did not give any type of entry, unfortunately. But as we go back to the 60, it is nice to see that we did get the move, and it did go up to hit that projected 382 target. We've only got a few people in the room, guys, and I know that sometimes you guys don't want to be too talkative, but there's only a few of us. So just let me know, was anybody involved with the euro dollar trade? I do take butterfly patterns, but only occasionally, only in certain setups. But this was a very nice one. Double bottom, violation of structure. Unfortunately, we just quite simply saw a very bullish move. Very few pullbacks apart from this one. And even though this was the zone that we were looking at, and it went on to hit targets, it just didn't produce an entry. But if you did get involved with that, guys, just let me know. I'll delete that information off. We may as well do the high time frame analysis on the euro dollar since we're here. So, okay. Structure level on at where price closed and at the low of the wicks. And as we look left, we do have some internal structure. We have 1, 2, we have a bit of a wick there. We have a zone here, a test here, and a couple of little tests there. So this is an area that has seen a reaction in the past. Not a major reaction, so as expected, we've seen a move to the downside. We're now seeing a move to the upside. So let's just draw out the trend. We had a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, and then a move lower. So I'm still expecting price to come lower. I'm actually expecting this structure level to be violated, and I'm expecting to see a move down to this structure level just here. So this structure level, this structure, and these two structure levels just here. So what that means is that I can look for shorting opportunities. First chance entry just here within the wicks. Second chance entry anywhere within the closes, the candle bodies should I say, and last chance entry all the way up here. First chance entry for me is preferred because that would give us something like a double top or a head and shoulders and a chance to short the market. And if we drop down to the 240, has that provided a double top within this zone? Well, no, it hasn't, not yet, but you can see that we've come into this zone and we do have the RSI going overbought here on the first test just here. So if we do get a double top up here like this, this is going to be a valid sell signal for me. Stops and ATR above this first test will be up here, and targets, well, very simple for me. First targets are going to be for a retest of the candle closes just down here. This will be my stop, giving me a very nice reward to risk. And if I go out to the dailies, guys, well, I'm going to be holding second targets all the way down here. I may even be moving my stop on every outside return like this until we come down to those potential targets. So we'll wait and see if tomorrow, if that does produce a double top. Now it is again FOMC day, but if that does produce a double top, it will be something that I'll be looking at getting involved with after the FOMC, because this is the euro dollar after all. So I'm going to move that one out the way. Does anybody have any currency pairs that would like me to take a look at? Because I'm pretty much now only going to go over what we've been over all week, which is pretty much nothing really. Pretty much nothing. I'm not interested now in any trades until next week. We will take a look at the dollar CAD. This is what we looked at the other day. We said that we can look for some shorting opportunities. I would be looking for a continuation lower. Well, that is what we got. You can see that we've come down to this level. We saw a small retracement. We came down again, and as we came back up to the structure level here, I was looking to see if we'd get a hold and some sort of entry, and we didn't. We just violated to the upside. So I'll delete that off, and we will do the higher time frame analysis on the daily time frame. So get rid of those. Here on the dailies, trendline structure like this. 1, 2, 3, and then we had this entire zone just here, and we have had a great big lower low, lower close candle. However, if I put a structure level in just at this level here, you can see that we have now had a confirmed break below, close below that level. So as I go to the 240 time frame, okay, I'm now going to be looking for shorting opportunities. I do believe price can come all the way down to this lower structure level right now. And so as we're seeing a pullback, guys, so a big move lower, and now we're seeing a pullback, I'm going to be looking for shorting opportunities within the wicks. So we have this first level right here, but we've closed above it, so that's no longer valid for a double top or a head and shoulders. Second of all, I'm going to be looking for a short within these wicks just here. We can also throw a fib on from our swing high to swing low. Do we have any fib confluence? Well, we have a 382 a little higher up, but not within our kill zone. Let's drop down one time frame lower. Yeah, so this is pretty much it, guys. This zone right here, I'm going to be looking to see if we can get some sort of rotation pattern within that zone. Moving very quickly here, guys. Not a great deal to talk about, as mentioned. If I'm going a bit too fast for you, please let me know. But again, it's really just going over the same thing that we went over yesterday evening. Any questions on the dollar CAD, guys? We do only have a few people in this evening. I'm noticing that the mornings tend to be a bit better for people. Does anybody prefer the mornings to the evenings? Or do you prefer the evenings? We still see some movement around 6, so that's why I do it UK time. Jack says he'd like to take a look at the euro yen. Certainly. Is there anything in particular you're looking at, Jack? Euro yen. Okie dokie. So, bigger picture on the euro yen, structure level on at our very lows. You can see that we are moving downwards, and we have not yet come down to this lower structure level. If we zoom in and we draw out the trend, we had a move lower. Looks like we had a form of breakout pattern here. Broke to the downside, pull back, broke to the downside, pull back, and then we've just been really dribbling our way lower. So I'm going to have to drop down to the 240 here and get a closer look at the trend. Jack's looking for a retracement now and then a long. For me personally, I believe we still have some room to go lower here. This is the closes of the candles. I believe that we can still come down a little lower, but we are seeing a reaction right now at this 1600 psychological number. So let's go and take a look at the 240 anyway. So let's draw out the trend here on the 240. We had a pullback. Okay, right here this was a new low, so we made a new low. Then we saw a pullback. Then we made a new low just to this point. And then we saw a pullback. And then we've seen a new low. So this entire area here is the outside return. Now, did we or did we not close above the very highs of our outside return? So this is our outside return high just here, and this is where we closed. So we're right up in that zone right now. So what we need to do is, because it's very close and we can't just eyeball this one, we bring over our data box and we click on this candle and we look for the very highs, 118.18, and right here we look for the closes, and that's 118. That's 118.18, and this is 118.18 as well. So we do actually have a structure hold here. So this level right here has actually held structure. So what that actually means is that we have no trend reversal right now at the moment. Okay, we're in trend to the downside, there's room to go lower, and we've come up to retest the outside return, and we physically held structure to the pip. And what it also means is that we are now right up within the last chance entry. That means that we are allowed to drop one time frame lower and look for a rotation pattern. Just before I drop to the 60, by the way, guys, RSI massively overbought here at 91. And we're currently at 1800 flat. So we've just closed above it on the 240, but we're trading at 118 flat. So we're at previous structure highs. The RSI has gone massively overbought, and we're at the psychological number 1800. Is there any fib confluence here from this swing high to swing low? You can see we've come into a 61.8 fib, indication that we could see a reaction. What else do we have from this swing high here? Okay, so just a 61.8 fib there. Let's drop one time frame lower. Could this provide us with a double top? Well, the problem we have right here is that we have now violated structure. So the double top still needs to be valid, and unfortunately here on the 60-minute time frame we did violate the outside return. So no way of getting involved here on the 60 minutes. The only way I could personally look for a short is if now we got a double top here on the 240 time frame, and of course we do have the RSI overbought, and if we do get a double top just here, guys, then I'll be looking at selling the market for a complete retest of this lower level, and potentially then hold targets for secondary targets down at this level just here. So not able to get involved on the 60, but certainly here on the 240. The downside is that we do have this very large wick here, and what this means is that stops have to go an 80 hour above it. So for me, if we came to this zone and we got a structure hold, stops would go an 80 hour above the first test, which is currently at 40. So this would be my risk. So this would be a very large trade using a last chance entry. So, well, 64 pips of risk there. Targets down to the closes of the candles just here. We would be looking like 206 pips. So for me, Jack, to be honest with you, right now I'm only looking for shorting opportunities. However, if you're looking for long opportunities, you're going to be waiting for a violation of the outside return. So you're going to be looking for the market to go higher and potentially look for a pullback, and then look for an entry reason to get long. As mentioned, for me personally, until that happens, I'm still looking for short opportunities. We're in trend, we've held structure, we've got the RSI confirmation, we're at a psychological number, and there's room to the downside as well. Let's go and take a look at the 15. I doubt that there's a great deal because we have violated bullish. Yeah, nothing there for me. So really, I'm just going to be waiting for that retest tomorrow. See if we do get a double top there, guys. Any questions, anyone? Jack, any questions on the euro yen? It would be a nice double top, but just unfortunate it would be a bigger double top than I would like, a bigger stop loss than I would like, but it would still be valid. In fact, sorry, I've got this in the wrong place. 40 pips above would give me 102. Yeah, I had my stop in the wrong spot there, guys. Yeesh. Okay, stops go an 80 hour above the first test. First test is pretty much 40 pips. That would give me 85 pips of risk for 206 pips of reward. So that's a very large stop loss there for a double top. We'll wait and see tomorrow if it provides any sort of entry. Jack doesn't have any questions, so I'll move that out of the way. Move it to one side. I will bring over the Euro Aussie. Still looking at buying this great big Gartley pattern up. As you can see, we're still waiting for price to come down to our X leg just down here and provide us some sort of rotation pattern. And right now we're pretty much just holding structure. So this is an at market pattern. If you trade Gartley patterns, then you have an at market buy. For me personally, I'm going to be waiting for some sort of rotation pattern. The risk on this trade is over my maximum anyway of 100 pips unless I get some sort of rotation pattern. No point in doing the high time frame analysis here. There's just been no change. It's been like this for 2 days. No change on the Euro Aussie. What else? What else do we have, guys? Dollar yen. We looked at this structure level that had been tested 7 times, and we said if we came up again for another test, we could look for some sort of double top. It didn't provide a valid double top for me. This was not valid because this was the previous structure level, and as you can see here, we came into it, so it had already hit the targets that I thought it would. So that's why the double top here would not be valid for me anymore. And what we did is we broke to the upside here. So let's go ahead and do the higher time frame analysis here, guys. And unless there's any questions, as I said, this is going to be a very, very quick webinar, guys. I'm just going to call the dollar yen the last one. There won't be a webinar tomorrow. It is FOMC day, and the markets, in my opinion, are just not going to move until the FOMC comes out. That'll be a long weekend then. Ready for next week. So structure level on at this very low level of structure just here. Did we hold structure? Yes, we did. And now we're seeing a move to the upside. Here on the dailies, I would need to see a violation of this level before I would be interested in a pullback and buying the market up. The question you have to ask though is, where could we see the market go higher to? And I have no projection as to where the market could go. So we had a test down here, a test here, and then obviously this test here. Do we have any sort of trend line here? Not really. So not too sure how high price can come here. I have no reading on the market. So let's go down to the 240. As mentioned, if you do believe that we can go higher, well, we then have a head and shoulders here. The head and shoulders is looking like this. We have a swing in the market, a pullback, a move lower for the head, a pullback, the right shoulder, and you're going to be waiting for a violation of this level, a pullback, and anywhere within this structure zone you're going to be looking for a long opportunity. and you can then look for, as a minimum, an AB equals CD pattern up to this level, or even second targets all the way up at this higher structure level. So that'll be something I'll be paying attention to next week. But it would have to be two targets for me, one target here and hold for second targets up at this level. Let's go and take a look at the 60. So here on the 60, we did have a violation of the structure level just here, only just. However, if you're aggressive, I would look for this, a move higher, pull back, move higher, pull back, a move higher. So this is now your outside return, and look for a pullback into this zone and a chance to get long. If you're going to use the 60, it's a little bit too aggressive for me. That based on the size of this head and shoulders, I would be using the 240. So there's a few possibilities, pretty much all next week, guys. Does anybody have anything on the other currency pairs they'd like to take a look at just before we wrap this up? Anything they'd like to go over? Pretty much all the other currency pairs haven't really moved a great deal. Let me just take a look at the pound yen. The pound yen saw that big rally that we were looking at, but that's about it really, guys. New Zealand CAD on the 60, certainly Jack, New Zealand CAD. Let's go and take a look at the dailies first of all. Okay. So we'll start off on the daily time frame first of all. So structure level on at the closes of the candles just here, and you can see we've actually failed to come down to hit the closes of the candles. And what we've been doing here, we've been moving very directionally, move lower, pull back, and a move lower. So there is still room to the downside, and we are trending here. So let's go and take a look at the 240. And on the 240, we would need to redraw out the trend because we had a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, a move lower here, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, and then what we've done is we saw another pullback, and then we've seen a move higher. So this was the top of our previous outside return, and we have now violated the trend, and we put in what's called now an initial structure high, which is the first step towards a potential trend rotation. What you can be looking for now is a pullback, and then you can look for another new high, and this will give you a new structure high right here, and this will actually then put you in trend. You can then wait for a pullback. This would then be the outside return, and quite simply you can then look for a long opportunity. But as mentioned, the problem you have right here is that you really want to be looking for these trend rotations when we've hit the lows of our structure level, and we've actually fallen short here. That's the problem. So for me, right now I just don't have any trades setting up here on the 240. If we look at the 60, what could there be on the 60? Well, it's pretty much going to be consolidation for me. Looks as though you could have a couple of patterns setting up. Yeah, so you could have a Gartley, X to A to B, B to C, CD completion. You need to hit the 61.8 fib for the C leg, which we haven't done as yet. Or, from the look of it on the 15, you might have a back pattern. But for me, there's no other trades here for me, Jack. What else do we have? No, it's just consolidation. Let me go back to the 60. Directional move. Draw this out based on the closes of the candles. 1, 2, 3. You would need a fourth test. The problem for me, this is not going to be a flag. It's occurred in consolidation, and I don't have any direct read on the trend. If anything, we've put in a potential rotation, so we could be going bullish, but this is a pattern that you want to sell, so it isn't moving in a way that would validate a flag pattern for me, so I really don't have a great deal on it. I don't have any AB equals CD patterns, any head and shoulders. The only thing there is a potential Gartley pattern for me. Not a great deal on it. What you could do is, let me just go out to the dailies, Jack. So as mentioned, we haven't come into this lower level of structure. You can see we've come very close. If we go and check out the weeklies, we may have actually hit that level. No, we haven't. Look right here. We still haven't come down to that structure level. So even though we've put in a potential rotation on the dailies, my bias is that we're still going to come lower. So no opportunities on there as well. Jack says this is what I was looking at. Yeah, so we've not hit the lows of structure on the weeklies or the dailies, and we have put in a potential rotation, but again we've not come in to previous structure, so I wouldn't be interested in any type of trend rotation there because we've not hit structure and started to reverse from it. You know, look how bearish we've been here. Very, very bearish, very bearish, very bearish. And since we've come so close to previous structure, it's very likely at some point we're going to come to that level. So I just wouldn't be interested in any long opportunities on that. Let me move that out of the way. What else? Nothing on New Zealand dollar, nothing on the New Zealand yen. All right, guys, we'll cut it short there. Just a 40-minute webinar. There is just nothing that meets my rules. I've got a lot of strategies: trend continuation, counter trend, double tops, double bottoms, head and shoulders, flag patterns, low and tight and high and tight flags, rising and falling channels, and there's been nothing for pretty much an entire month. So guys, sorry to cut it short, but thank you for joining me, even though if it was just to hear my wonderful voice for 40 minutes. As mentioned, there won't be a webinar tomorrow because it is FOMC day. I will be in the chats for a little bit, not too long to be honest with you, because there won't be too much going on. But I will see you in the chat tomorrow.